Hey everybody, welcome to the Sin Bin. As some of you may already know, CMB Reggae is putting on its first show in Philadelphia on Thursday, January 4th at Milkboy in Center City, Philly. CMB Reggae is proud to sponsor the Philly leg of the Sundub Mighty Mystic Tour, a tour of 5 nights across the Northeast. Once the event and the date were locked in, I had to make a serious decision as to who should open for the night. When thinking about who I have seen in 2023 locally that was seriously capable of moving the crowd, this next act came to mind. I saw this 9-piece band open for Barris Hammond at the Keswick Theater in Glenside, PA. And in front of a crowd of 1,100 native Jamaicans, this act managed to deliver an authentic roots sound that set the place on fire. After hearing them, I knew I wanted the Exaltations as the opener for my show. Please join me in welcoming Ben Behold Bean, lead vocalist, Dan Brauta Poroban. What's your position? What's your instrument, Dan?
Rhythm guitar and
Rhythm guitar
vocal harmonies. Yep.
and vocal harmony. Okay, and David Squire Siegel, lead guitarist. These are three of the members of the 9-piece band known as the Exaltations. How you all doing today, gentlemen?
Great, Chris.
Irie. Doing good, man.
Okay. All right. So give us your 1-minute elevator pitch. Do you want to tell the world what your band is about?
Go for it, Dan.
Take the lead.
All right. Thanks. By default, thanks. Chris, first of all, thanks again for having us. We're really excited about the upcoming gig at Milkboy, CMB Reggae, and everything that night's going to be about. Yeah, the Exaltations, really, if I could put it in a nutshell, a group of great friends, bandmates, and a vast experience of playing together with many different combinations of bands through the years in Philadelphia on the reggae scene. We were brought together, the silver lining to the pandemic cloud. We were brought together in an effort to play a big show in August of 2022 for Burning Spear, and we united for that. And afterwards, we decided to keep it going as a concern, as a solid band, and we look forward to performing live, working on original material to record and perform. And then also we kind of like to play the backing band role, like the Roots Radix era, Soul Syndicate kind of thing, where we have local Philly artists and, artists coming through town to back them when they need us to serve them. So this is really an exciting time for us.
Okay. Where did the name Exaltations come from?
I'll let Ben take that one.
Yeah, so when we were going through our whole email chain and texts and things like that, trying to figure this out, I put together a list, and on my maybe final three that I was really a big fan of, Exaltations came to mind, and that's EXU, exalt, as in the sense of kind of like being elevated, being uplifted, getting a sense of joy and celebration. And I thought that was a kind of a good way to capture what we did. But we talked about that together and just thought Exaltations had more of a ring to it, which also kind of goes hand in hand with what we're doing. It's uplifting music. It's meant to be kind of like praise, celebration of all that is good in the world. That's what good roots reggae music is overall for me. But I think another idea I had behind that Exaltations was just trying to capture the the era of reggae and as well, big like Motown and soul fans, so thinking of like the Temptations, the Impressions, the help me out here, guys, there's other ones that a long list of bands that have that kind of right. So trying to capture that aspect of what we do, because our sound, we come from different bands that
How did the current incarnation of the band come together? You said it was a COVID thing.
Well, not a COVID. It was more like the downtime that presented to all of us, being musicians and yourself, the whole world being shut down like that. I spent a good amount of time thinking that if we ever got a chance to play again, I wanted to do something special. And the Spear show that August at the TLA presented itself, and it was early spring that year that I started calling on some very special musicians, reggae musicians and friends that I've been playing with since the early, almost 20 years now in one
Right.
form or another. And we even enlisted the help. I know, Chris, you said you pulled up the YouTube
Yes.
video from that show, and we got some considerable help from Scotty P from Ja Works down from
Yes.
Baltimore, and he really brought the fire along with everybody else. So the band was really it was sparked to that, and like I said, we've all played together in one configuration or another, and like I said, we took that momentum and we decided to move it forward, and like I said, it's
So that's right. Many people have told me that Scotty B is a native of this area.
Yes.
yeah,
So
media. Yep, media.
yeah, and well, that's right. I mean, CMB Reggae is headquartered in media. So yeah, I do know that he comes back here a lot and has played with various people. So okay,
So by the way, Scotty and Dan and I were a trio for a little while, just kind of on and off, called Powers, and
Mhm.
locked in with those three-part harmonies, just like Dan and I and Johnny and Step and Razor, also made these three-part harmonies kind of crucial to what we do. And so Scotty is always a guy that we like to come back with. But I
so
wanted to add on to what Dan said though, because he had a brilliant idea for the show. In his mind, it was like, if we ever get out of this pandemic and get back to playing again, I want to do this. And it was Aswad's live and direct album. And so we played that pretty much front to back. And it was just a fun experience coming together as what we thought was kind of a one-off gig as the Philly Reggae All-Stars. And let's play this Aswad album. And we got a chance to actually do it again at World Cafe Live with Ja People and Junior Marvin that fall. And it was a good way for us to just kind of click and connect and realize, we should really keep this going as a actual band. So here we are.
okay. All right. In terms of your musical influences, obviously, Aswad is, close to the top of the list. But I mean, it seems to me that most of you travel in truly classic roots circles in terms of your influence. Is there any other form of reggae that you really gravitate towards?
I think Squire needs to talk about this one.
Yeah, that's a good one for Dave.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think we have kind of defined, we all kind of like this sweet spot of kind of the late 60s stuff to kind of the early 80s Jamaican stuff. Yeah, I mean, from the way that I came into scene was actually ska. I mean, I come from the ska world. Sorry, blanking for a second. Yeah, I mean, I won't get too much into the weeds, but like Scatolites, the rock steady stuff, the skinhead reggae stuff, that's kind of where I gravitate towards. Everybody, seems to feel kind of like that rootsy era, though, is where we all kind of tastes meet.
Okay. So Dan, you also play with Rocksteady, is that correct?
Yes, like Rocksteady is a ska band from Philadelphia. There's a few original members of the great band Rooter Than You from Philly, and also the Hornsmen. A lot of the horn players that we feature with the Exaltations, I met through that experience. I've been playing with them. I began playing with Dave Siegel in a roots reggae, rock steady kind of ska band called Warwick Hill that we formed in the mid 2000s. And then I got to meet up with Adam Flicker and Wesley Ross. Adam Flicker's our organ player, bubbler, and Wesley is our drummer through playing with a band called Culture Real. And then last but not least, I still have the pleasure to sing and perform and play reggae music with Ben and Johnny Myers in an outfit known as Stepping Razor, and those guys played since college days at Westchester. So it's kind of like a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but reggae style. How we're all connected. But
Well, it's my understanding that Step and Razor is not an active band at this point in time. Is that correct?
No, we've been picking things back up. I mean, everything slowed down during the pandemic for us too. And for about 3 years, I was out in California at UC Davis for grad school, and then moved back in 2019, just in time to be on lockdown. But Johnny has a couple other gigs going on, great jazz trio that he plays with, and some other outfits. So it was kind of on the back burner, but we are lining up some gigs for the new year as well. And it's always a pleasure playing with Johnny. And the a lot of what we did with that band and continue to do with that band is predominantly Johnny's original music, but I started my reggae songwriting chops really with Step and Razor, and learned a lot from Johnny and those guys. But the Exaltations is kind of an opportunity now for us to, I think, focus in, and I want Dave to talk about his songwriting too. But a lot of what I have in mind, what I'm currently writing for this project, is equally harmony focused as Step and Razor had mostly been over the years, but also trying to connect with some of that, like what I was talking about earlier, like the Motown influence, harmony roots, and some of the grooves that we're doing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how our influences continue to converge with this group. It's really kind of magical so far.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the band Axum.
Yeah.
Who
I guess, do I want to take this one?
yeah, sure, Dave.
So Adam, our keyboard player, and I, Adam Flicker, who, I mean, we go back to when we were in third grade together.
Right.
We had a band at high school, a ska band called the Blue Roots. And kind of then I was playing in a band called Rathskeller, and kind of through that, we kind of, through various kind of connections, we wound up playing with Axum. And that was, really part of our schooling, kind of really learning how to play reggae. We had, been doing ska and stuff for a while, but this was really kind of the crash course of, being in the basement of Coxone's record shop up in North Philly at like 2 a.m, with, bunch of Rastas yelling at us, "No, don't go spa, 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 go spa, spa, spa." And yeah, so I mean that was a connection. And actually, Mikey Lovesmith was the singer for Axum. And so Adam and I knew him from back then, and really kind of lost touch with him until recently. And that was really cool getting back together with him.
Patrick Brewster played in Axum as well, did he not?
Yes, yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That's you guys are quite a lineup of seasoned veterans in the Philly area.
And one thing I just wanted to add, they're not here video wise, but like I said, I did mention Wesley Ross, are just the best roots drummer I've played with as personally as a musician, as far as roots reggae, just top notch. And we were blessed to have Wes enlist his brother Madison Rast, who is a formidable bassy, and he's just a tremendous musician all around. He plays in sessions all over the city. And then lastly, kind of rounding out the rhythm section is Dwight McIntosh, who plays piano for us. He's the newest kind of member. And then on top of it, we have our horn section, which some guys from West Philly Orchestra. That's Adam Hirschberger, Dave Fishkin, Terry Hyatt, who's a phenomenal trombonist who plays with a number of ska outfits ongoing. And then, we enlist some others along the way when we need, but it's a really, really solid lineup. And we're really, we don't take it for granted. Everybody has busy lives professionally and also musically, but we're making time for this because we love it, what it can become. And, we really enjoy making music together.
Okay. All right, next question. I saw you all open up for Bears Hammond in August at Keswick Theater, and I have to tell you, just universally, that show was was influential in my life. It made me really think about how much things had changed in terms of the pandemic ending, in terms of me moving from DC to Philly, just in terms of understanding that a significant reggae energy was coming back to America that hadn't been there in a while. And as I said, you guys, you got up on stage, full 9 pieces, and set the place on fire in front of a full house of well over 1,200 native Jamaicans, which is really, I mean, it's not incomprehensible. I mean, it's like the equivalent of like Pee Wee Herman going into the Apollo Theater, you know. And no offense, but I'm just saying that as far as analogy, you guys moved the crowd, and you did it significantly. So what I was wondering is, in terms of scoped out talent, how did that come about, and who was the one who was thinking that they were going to put you guys up on stage opening for Beres Hammond? How did that show come about?
On Jamaican Independence Day, no less.
Jamaican Independence Day.
Yeah, right.
Which they reminded us significantly
Yes.
with
Those
the
flags
DJ
everywhere. Yeah.
and the Jamaican Independence song that I just presumed was a Jamaican Independence song because I did not know what it was. Okay. So anyway, how did that show come about for you?
And I mean, largely it has to do with kind of a long-term relationship with Jamaican Dave, and Dan can talk more about that. I mean, I had a good, we had a relationship with him going back to our days, like I since Warwick Hill and those bands, but Dan has known him for much longer, and Dan could probably speak to that relationship more.
Yeah, much like yourself, Chris. I mean, this business of presenting, especially live music, it's in the hands of the final few independent promoters, especially for reggae, like yourself and David Russell, aka Jamaican Dave, who's been on the scene since the late 90s, and in Philadelphia, has a solid reputation in just bringing top A-list Jamaican talent to the Jamaican community, and also Philadelphia and the tri-state valley, tri-state area at large. I think that the music industry is a series of relationships, and like I said, when we got he's the one that literally chose us for this, ran by the Spear Show opportunity, and we were kind of trying to help each other come out of that dark era. And when he saw the Spear Show, and then we had an opportunity to play at the World Cafe, and we even played a spot at Dave's 50th Earth Strong celebration this summer, once again to a largely West Indian audience. And it's the thing you mentioned, the Bear Show, and I had those thoughts, but when I savor what I call the don't judge a book by its cover moment, and that always comes. It's just goes with the territory, but I've never been let down. I knew that if we all have this music in our hearts, we treat it with reverence and the respect and put the energy into it that it deserves. And I think from when the first beat drops, no matter what the crowd is, especially if it's a Jamaica crowd, they read that right away. And I'm really honored. We're honored to be a part of this Philly reggae community and the reggae community at large.
And I'm saying, Ben was blowing it up, man. You had the crowd in your hands, dude. I'm telling you.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Dan and I had a similar experience going back years when we were with our band Warwick Hill. We opened up for Sizzla at the the Trocadero, and it was another one of those kind of moments so it was another one of those moments where it's like, okay, we're either going to get like things thrown at us or we're going to go over really well. And we went out there, and it's really it's showing your true colors. Really, it's going out there and showing that you know how to play this stuff, that you have the respect for this type of music, and that you're not going to go out there and mishandle this type of music, maim it. You're going to play it in the proper way, and when you do that, you get the proper response.
Okay. All right. So that ends the business part of the interview. Now we take it a little bit easy and relax a little bit. As I'm gonna ask, what was your most memorable show? So we talked about Perez, we talked about Sizzla. Is there any other show that any of you performed at that was just like when you ended it, you're like, I don't think I'm gonna top that.
Do you have one, Ben?
I mean, the Bear shows for one, but prior to that, I had to say Step and Razor, and this was even before Dan joined up with Step and Razor, but before we even really had the 3-part harmonies on lock, it was just a 4-piece, and we got, through Jamaican Dave, we were invited to open up the main stage at Reggae in the Park, the very first Reggae in the Park festival at the Mann Center in 2012. Still an unforgettable experience, even though it was, we're the first band on the main stage at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and maybe it was mostly our friends and family in the stands, and very, very empty seating area, right?
Right.
But still just an unforgettable experience because of the enormity of the stage, because of just the professionalism of the crew working there, and probably more than anything else because of the lineup of musicians that we warmed up the stage for. I mean, Jimmy Cliff was the headliner, but one of my personal favorite singers, Luciano, who we'll talk more about him coming up soon.
Yes.
But he
Actually,
just,
in about 2 minutes, yes.
yeah, he just blew me away. I even had an opportunity just to meet him very briefly and give him our first album, and very, very humble man for the amount of energy and just like the vibe that he has. Watching him perform was right after I played up right up on the same spot was just something else for me, man. So
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. I mean, a lot of them I'm going to call back to kind of for most of the time, for maybe like the past, maybe over 10 years. If I was playing, I was doing more stuff out of Philly. Did a lot of stuff with King Django, Jeff Baker, the Version City stuff. So I got to do a lot of like cool shows, like I mean, back in the day, I got to do the Wetlands a couple times, and that was just, being able to do that was great. I think that there was one specific 3 floors of ska that was done at the Knitting Factory, the old Knitting Factory in New York, and it was, I had played there with a couple different bands. It was the first time that we brought Warwick Hill there, and that was kind of a really special thing to be able to, bring my new band and kind of, have all my pals from New York and Jersey kind of see it, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next question, and this is the one that's always sticky because artists are reluctant to take sides. In terms of the venues, what is the best venue you ever performed at? What was the nicest? What was the most comfortable? What was the friendliest?
That's a good one. I mean, you said you're from DC, right?
I'm from DC. Yes.
Yes. So the 930 Club is, I got to play there a couple times back in the day, and that was I one of the best venue experiences of my life. They were very, very welcoming. Yeah, I really love the 930 Club.
I mean, the one impression I always had of the 930, and we're talking about the new 930, not the old 930.
Right.
The sound was just excellent. I don't think I can't think of a venue that seats that many seats and really has that good of a sound.
Yeah.
In terms of how well the room is engineered. They must have done that with extreme care.
Yeah.
What about you two? What about the rest of you?
what do you think,
What's
Dan?
your favorite place to play?
Go ahead, Ben. You could go first.
I don't know, man. Like we name these big places, obviously Keswick, Man Center, TLA was nice, Troc, but I honestly, you know, I'm gonna throw this out there because I like small, intimate, kind of homegrown. So I'm just gonna give a shout out to a very short-lived venue in Westchester, Pennsylvania, called Sprout Music Collective, and it was a private club, but it was made with the intention of just getting the perfect sound, and it was attached to also like a very kind of farm to table place as well. So I miss that place. I wish it stuck around longer, and it's kind of indicative of just how, you know, fickle or fragile music scenes can be. But I'll always remember that as just one of my favorite places to play, even if it was only for a couple of years.
Okay. Dan?
Mine, you know, I've been lucky to play several different venues over the years, but I'm judging this on just a working musician perspective, from load in time at 3 in the afternoon until load out time at 1 a.m. The Keswick for me in Glenside, PA, hands down. I mean, that
Beautiful.
for the Barris Hammond show, there was never a moment. It was such, you know, there was a lot on the line. It was a high stakes kind of show, but from the moment you rolled in, and the sound engineers, the hospitality, the show promoters, the managers, it was the audience, most importantly. It was just, as far as, you know, we've all done hundreds and hundreds of gigs, but as far as a venue that accommodated that from beginning to end, I would say the Keswick up to this point. You know, that was it for me so far.
Okay. All right. So in terms of, this is the last thing. In terms of, in most of these interviews, I reserve the last question for anything that you'd like to plug. This one is particularly different because what we're plugging is my show. Just a reminder to the audience out there, January 4th, Thursday, doors open 7 p.m. Show starts at 8 p.m. The Exaltations starting off, Mighty Mystic next, and Sundub after that. That's at Milkboy at 11th and Chestnut. And I am over the top excited doing a show like this. I've been a Sundub fan for a very long time, and a Mighty Mystic fan even longer than that. And so, yes, the Exaltations are going to open. And, I went down to Milkboy. It's a fantastic venue. Definitely has a little bit of bandwidth in terms of people there who could watch. I was there a month ago watching Kings and Comrades open up for Mike Pinto. And it was a very memorable show. So we got that, and you're gonna open for that show. But let's talk about the other one, the 10th annual Bob Marley celebration, February 10th, at Ardmore Music Hall. You guys are opening. What are the other bands on that lineup? I believe it's Tabernacle.
Yeah, we got Mikey Lovesmith who's
Right.
the lead singer for Tabernacle Band. I believe we may be like we did for Barris, Exaltations, backing Mikey in a live setting, which is really fantastic. He's a really great singer and performer. And also, I believe Ja People, Bob Marley out, tribute and just phenomenal band. It's perfect for that evening. And then I also believe Rob Payne and Solomonic Sound will be DJing that evening. So I have one thing, Chris, I wanted to mention. Luciano hasn't been in the U.S. for almost a decade, and I dug into my archives, and I have a flyer from March 23rd, 2001.
Oh,
wow.
This is a Jamaican Dave production, and I was at the time called myself Far Eye Promotions. I co-promoted the show at the Lancaster Chameleon Club that spring. And it was the first show in Luciano's New Day tour for that record in 2001. Anyway, overjoyed. We are so thrilled to be a part of this. The energy that is going to be coming from that it's the perfect venue for this kind of event. and we're really, really, really looking forward to that one.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. This was a good thing to do at this point in time, and I would advise the CMB Reggae audience that continue to tune in to CMB Reggae on both Facebook and Instagram for the latest of all happenings that are going on in the Mid-Atlantic, from New York to Virginia Beach, as well as urging all of you to get on the link and buy your tickets to Milkboy on January 4th. You will be seeing this interview and the Mighty Mystic and Sub-Dub interviews that CMB Reggae has done in rotation between now and the show date. And like I said, continue to tune in. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing. It was great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
One love. Thanks,
Thank you,
Chris.
Chris. Really appreciate it.